Yes, good morning everyone. Good morning the friends that we have from the first session we made last year, and good morning new friends that is joining us to secure that this is now starting to become a really nice movement of people who likes public space and understands the importance. Yes, I work for UN Habitat, one of the three partners that is creating this Future of Places movement. I'm here with several of my colleagues, and they are going to go deep into discussions on public space. But I wanted to just very, very quickly tell you that the United Nations is, of course, something that you all know. Here is a very simplified version of the United Nations system. UN Habitat is at the top there in the middle. Now, what is done is that there is very important member states that decide what each of these units is going to do. We have mandates. And that's kind of interesting to know when we continue this week here. When we got our mandate in the 70s, the world wasn't very urban as such, but today it is. We have a completely different world in front of us today. Urbanization is something, of course, that has always happened, but it has not always happened at the same speed as is happening today. So it is something that we are not very well prepared to handle because it has never happened before. Now, where does it happen? It's a little everywhere in the world. Here we can see where urbanization is happening, and it's starting to spark off in Africa. Latin America, where we are now, is already urbanized, and Asia is booming with cities. The issue is, of course, that urbanization is good or bad. And there's this fundamental difference between the good and the bad. If we do a city wrong, it's very complicated and expensive and time-consuming to correct it. It doesn't really happen. There might come new mayors that are very committed, but their political term is very short, and building cities takes time. So we, UN Habitat, we think that it's very important that we work with the cities that is not really working to improve them. But the most important is to secure that we don't get new wrong cities. We have to get new right cities. And this conference is about public space, and we think that one of the really important things in a good city is actually that it has public space. We basically think that the public is the city. Now, the UN, we had all these agencies, and they have a mandate. But then the UN system, or the world system basically, because this is member states, they have visionary documents that guides what the UN is doing, what the countries is doing. And I'm not going to talk about all of these, but there is something which is called the MDGs that many of you have heard about, the Millennium Development Goals. Created at the turn of the millennium, and it basically listed certain number of things that the world, the member states, thought that this is important. This is things we have to deal with: health, education, sanitation, safety, and so forth. And then we were pretty brave, the world, in those days. So we stood up and we said, we're going to do this in 15 years. To 2015, all these things that's on the list is going to be sorted out. Now we're pretty close to 2015, and lots of things has been done, but not really everything. So we have now decided, maybe that there should be new goals. So we are now working on new goals that's going to replace the MDGs, fulfill what they didn't do, and also we've added some new things that has become important. Now, member states, they sit down and they talk and they negotiate, and they're going to take a decision in exactly a year from now, 2015, in September, October, something like that. Now, The process, again, one of these very simple UN schedules. How do we actually secure that everyone in the whole world agrees on the SDGs that we're going to decide on? Well, we have all these processes that is going on. It's workshops, it's consultations, it's meetings, it's member states, it's private sector, it's NGOs. Many of you maybe have already participated. More than 2 million people have participated in the SDG preparatory process. I think that's pretty impressive, actually. That is a participatory process. And now we have something which is kind of a pre-document. That is then going to be negotiated by the member states. Now, a pre-document, it might not survive, it might change, but maybe it will survive. And we from UN Habitat, we like this preparatory document that is ready because it has lots of goals, and one of the goals is about cities. That has not happened before. People have previously not understood that cities is what's important, but now there is a suggestion. The goal 11 on the list, and the list is not in order of importance, so it's just one very important thing that has been sorted out. And for us here in this conference, it's even more interesting because when you have a goal, how are we going to look into this goal? We have targets, and one target is about public space. Now, if the UN actually takes this and let it stay there, then we will have a very strong document to argue about when we want to improve public space in the world. Though it might not stay. Maybe we, all of us, can assist a little in the process. I said earlier that we have a mandate, UN Habitat, and that mandate was given to us in 1996. 20 years from that, that's when this mandate is going to be updated in a conference that is going to be called Habitat 3 in 2016. Now, it's not a UN Habitat conference, it's a UN conference. It's all the member states, it's all the UN agencies. We're going to sit down and talk for a week and decide on cities, housing problems for the future. So that Habitat 3 conference is going to give us a new mandate. Now, can we think of the possibility that maybe public space would be mentioned in that mandate? That wouldn't be bad. Then we would have both the Sustainable Development Goals document and we would have a mandate document that gives us the chance to say, this is important. The countries of the world have said that twice. Habitat 3 has started. There is some meetings here and some processes and whatever. And here is the Future of Places conference that we had last year. And here is the conference that we're having now. And here is the conference we're going to have next year. Now, you see that it's embedded in this preparatory process. We can maybe take the outcome from these conferences and put it into these preparatory processes in different ways. You are going to be assigned, because the preparatory process is something that happens on a country level, on a thematic level, on a regional level, and many of you have openings here. So when we come to the Habitat 3, we hope that very many of these meetings, conferences, documents actually mention the outcomes from Future of Places. The Habitat 3 will do lots of things, and one thing that we think is important, it's going to outline a new urban development agenda, and that's where we want to have public space included. This week we're going to talk about public space from very many perspectives, and my colleagues and you are going to participate in that. But the whole aim of this conference, from my perspective, would be that let's secure that it's not only a conference. Let's secure that this is a movement that is going to influence the discussion of the world to make it feel the importance of public space. That's what we have to do in order to know that we have contributed to 20 years of the future urban agenda. We have a mission to do. And we have 3 days now to start to talk about these issues. And then we will continuously use the address network that we have now created, and we are going to give you, over the year that is coming, ideas about how you can influence the Habitat 3 process, and then we will meet again next year.